What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I've been thinking about love. Last week was Valentine's Day, and it has triggered me to think about the power of love and how important it is. And to be honest with you, I think love is so important. I'm super glad that we dedicate a whole day to the power of love and doing something for that special romantic interest in our lives. But I want to make sure we go a step further than that and make sure we dedicate more time to love, make it an everyday practice to express love and appreciation to those that are meaningful to us, not just people in our lives that are the romantic kind of love, but also all of the love in our lives. I am completely convinced that love is the most powerful force on the planet. And it changes lives, and it changes lives just as much as hate, but changes lives in a positive way. So I hope last week you took some time out of your day, out of your life, to make your romantic partner feel special. But I want to make sure that we encourage everyone to feel just as special. And I want to make sure that you take time out of your life to show appreciation to everyone in your life who is loving. I consider myself to be a really, really lucky person because there are a lot of people in my life that I know love and support me and demonstrate that love and support consistently by doing things in my life to help me overcome the challenges I've experienced in my life, but also to help me pursue my dreams. It's a remarkable thing, but to be honest with you, it's one of those things that you can so easily take for granted because, like a mother is supposed to love her son, or a dad is supposed to love his daughter, or an aunt or uncle, brother or sister, they're supposed to do these loving things. But the simple truth is none of us are entitled to that level of love. And none of us are entitled to someone working so hard to support your dreams and help you overcome significant challenges. And the greatest thing you can do for those people is express appreciation for the little things. And often the little things become big things. I'll tell you a quick story and give you an example. When I went to college, I was not ready. I was not mentally ready. And I went to college and I got a grant, a scholarship, not only an athletic scholarship, but part of it was academic. I didn't perform well enough to keep that scholarship. My grades weren't high enough. And I remember when I got the letter in the mail that said, you've lost this scholarship. It was $10,000, whatever it was. And I went to the campus with my aunt, and my aunt paid for a semester on a credit card. I had to pay her back. And over the next year or so, I paid a little on this credit card and got it paid off. But my aunt put an entire semester of my college education on her credit card. And at the time, I knew that was a big gesture, but I didn't realize the completely life-altering gesture that was. Had my aunt not done that, just to be clear, when I got that money removed, I actually thought that my college education was over. I genuinely thought, this is the end of the road, because I didn't have another way to make that kind of money to resume my education. My aunt pays a credit card. I was supremely appreciative when she did it, but I really didn't know that it would be the complete life-altering change that it was. Every single thing that has happened subsequent to that in my life would not have happened. Every professional goal that I've achieved, every single thing I've done in my life would not have happened had my aunt not stepped in and done that. And I need to be able to say thank you to her. It is good for me to be appreciative of those moments that seem small, or at least smaller at the time, but are actually really, really big. So I want you to think about the people in your life that have done things throughout the journey to express how much they love you and support you and are there for you, and what you can do to share your appreciation with them, because I promise it's good for you and it's good for them. Thanks for being here today. It means so much to me. And if you wouldn't mind, do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platforms, or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And please don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast, where you can subscribe, you can rate this podcast, and of course, leave a comment. I'd love to hear what people think. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie. And for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to continue talking about love and appreciation and how we can impact the people around us who have impacted our lives, and how we can make life better by impacting how much love and appreciation we experience in our own life. And I want to talk to you about doing little things. If there's one thing that I've learned in my work, I always say that, right? If there's one thing. But if there's one thing on my mind now that I've learned in my work from working with couples and families, it's that I think we tend to think too big about how to express love and appreciation to the meaningful people in our lives. And actually thinking smaller helps. And let me explain to you what I mean. So very often, and I'm going to use the example of couples just because it's easier to make this point, but it extends beyond just couples, literally into every meaningful relationship in our lives. But very often, couples come into my office and they'll be off track and they'll be having problems. They'll be experiencing turmoil between the two of them, not feeling love and not feeling connected. And they'll say things like, I really want to get back connected with my partner, and I'd love to go on a cruise or take a romantic trip, but life is just too busy. We've got 3 kids and school and work obligations. We got all these things. So I don't think we can actually go and take that trip, or we can go and do that super romantic thing. And I always say that couples should have 3 things going on in their lives if you want to be happy, healthy, satisfied, and just successful as a relationship. The first thing is, it is good to have a big mega trip that you take once a year or once every couple of years or whatever, like a routine of taking a big trip. Like once a year, we send the kids to the grandparents' house or to a friend's house, and we take a weekend and we go on a romantic trip. Even a romantic staycation, right? Like you go book a nice hotel in the city that you live in, or a city nearby where you live, or even staying home. We send the kids to the grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbor's house, and we just sit at home and be a romantic couple. And we do that once a year just to have something major and mega to look forward to on our schedule. Then you also need to have something on your schedule that you can look forward to weekly. And those things are typically smaller. So something like a date night. And again, it doesn't have to be something you spend a ton of money on. It doesn't have to be something that you go out to the most expensive restaurant and you put on your most amazing clothes. It can literally just be a date night at a small restaurant. It could be a date night in the house. You can send the kids to their rooms to play video games and play on their devices. And one of the partners cook for the other. And that is like a weekly date. You should have something like that on your schedule. And then even smaller still, you could have something on your schedule that you do daily. And those are the small little things that actually more impactful than the other 2. Those are the things where it's like I text my partner how beautiful and amazing I think she is. That is how I text my partner how handsome and remarkable I think he is. That is when I text my partner how lucky I am to have that person in my life. And I feel so great that they are in my life and willing to walk this journey with me. Or I text my partner how great I think they do at loving me and appreciating me and sharing who they are with me and those things. That is when I do the little tiny things that really feed the soul. Those are when I do the little tiny things that dictate how we communicate, that dictate how we view each other, that dictate how we connect with each other. Those little things are actually more significant than the other 2. You know, you got to have a ton of money to take a trip to wherever, and you got to have a ton of time to take a trip to wherever, and you got to have money and planning skills to send roses and all those sorts of things. But to be able to do those little things where you're communicating with your partner in a really close way on a daily basis, like think of all of the things that you can do daily that are small and seemingly insignificant, but make the biggest difference. One of the things that would happen a lot is oftentimes a woman, and usually it was a woman, who would say, like, I'm upset with my partner because they don't tell me that they love me. And the partner will say, well, I told you, the man will say, well, I told you before, like, you should just remember. But it is so nice to hear those things. It is so nice to be reinforced. It is so nice to be reminded. And those are the little things that actually make the biggest difference. So I want you to think about the little things you can do in your relationship to really build that love and really build that appreciation. And think of something that requires very little effort, that requires very little money, even no money, that you could replicate daily to let your partner know how important they are to you. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. If you wouldn't mind, please do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget subscribing to this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or wherever. Subscribe, rate, and also leave comments because I love to hear what people think. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to continue talking about love, but I want to share with you a huge lesson that I've learned about the importance of communication. And I'm going to talk to you about something that if you can do this, you're going to improve any meaningful relationship in your life. It's actually the key to effective and successful communication. The big flaw that we have in communication is we teach the pragmatics of communication, like use I statements and say, I felt when, instead of you make me feel. Like we use those kinds of language. But the most effective way to have effective communication with someone is to communicate to them that I am currently holding positive feelings about you. That's how you communicate. You have to make it clear, even when you're angry, even when you're frustrated, that the most prominent thought you have of the person you're communicating with is one of positivity. So, here's what I want you to be thinking about. For all of the meaningful people in your life, your partner, your children, your parents, your siblings, be able to communicate to them that I think positive things about you, even though I'm frustrated that you did X, Y, or Z thing. Or I'm thinking positive things about you, and even though I'm disappointed in your actions, I love and appreciate you, but here's what I'm thinking. You have got to be able to communicate to your partner, to the meaningful people in your life, to those that you love, that I'm thinking positive things about you. Now, it doesn't mean I'm always happy with you. It doesn't mean I'm always thrilled with your actions. But it does mean that no matter what is going on, I think you have a positive role in my life, and my life is better with you in it. And that is a non-mover. That is the thing that stays. If you can effectively do that, you will have a tremendous amount of success in the way you communicate in your relationship. And one of the ways that you can do that, so here's a practical tip that'll be able to help you do that. And almost nobody does this. And I call this the what's right with you question. If you walked into a room and you saw your spouse crying, you would effectively say, and most people would say, what's wrong? And sometimes you would make the assumption that you've done something wrong, and you would walk into the room, you'd see your partner crying, and you'd say, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong? I want to teach you to ask what's right. Because if you walk into a room and you see your partner smiling and laughing, we are not as commonly triggered to ask, what's right with you today? Or make a wonderful assumption that perhaps I've done something that has made your life better. So, get in the habit of being investigative about when your partner is happy and what role you have potentially played in creating that happiness. It's going to cause a dialogue between you and your partner, a systemic, open dialogue between you and your partner, where you're constantly talking about the good things that you are doing in one another's life. And it accomplishes the goal of letting each other know that I am currently holding positive thoughts about you. And again, once you successfully do that, it almost ensures that you're going to have effective communication. We try to fix communication by learning how to fight better and learning how to make I statements and learning how to make eye contact. But none of that is the true way to transform effective communication. The best way to transform communication is to make it very, very clear that I believe good things about you. I believe the role you play in my life is a positive one, and I'm willing to be investigative about what's going right in your life and what role I am potentially playing in what's going right in your life. If you can do that, you will transform any relationship and make communication a guarantee that will always be effective and successful, and you will be able to work through just about any problem with your partner. So I want you to think about opportunities you can take to communicate to your partner positive things about them, and you think the role that they play in your life is positive. Hey, thanks for being here today. If you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor, I'd love it if you would share this podcast with at least one person in your life that you think could benefit from hearing this message, and share this podcast on your social media platforms as well. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts and subscribe and rate and leave comments. I love to hear what people think, and I will see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie. And for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to continue talking to you about love and appreciation and the little things that we can do that make a huge difference in our relationships. And I want to tell you a story that I came across that I think exemplifies this the most. Oftentimes as a counselor, when I invite people to adopt new behaviors to help them achieve their desired aim, sometimes we have, and all of us do this, right? When we're looking at change, we have excuses as to why we have not committed to or successfully made the change. Yesterday I was watching a television show called My 600-Pound Life, and there's a doctor on the show named Dr. Now, I think his name is. And he works with the people on the show to develop new eating habits and new exercise habits, and he gives them ridiculous goals. Like, I'm not going to continue working with you unless you lose 100 pounds in the next 2 months, and here's the diet you need to be on. And he was asking this one guy who was eating about 10,000 calories a day to go on a diet where he was now eating 1,200 calories a day. And of course, this young man, he's not successful, and he makes excuses as to why. Like, I was really stressed out, so occasionally I would go off the diet, and instead of losing 100 pounds, he gained 36. And that's common amongst behavior changes. And as a counselor, people would often say that to me when they were working on creating new patterns and new behaviors in their relationships. But I came across a story that is so impactful to me because I think it highlights that one of the reasons why I think behavior changes are so difficult to achieve and why we all come up with excuses when we're adopting new behaviors is because we think so big. And if we could just be consistent, persistent, and do the small things in a relationship, it makes the biggest difference in the world. And this story is about a guy named Jim Golay from a place called Casper, Wyoming. Jim Golay from Casper, Wyoming was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor about a year prior to Valentine's Day. And he knew that he would not be around a long time, and he wanted to give his wife a special Valentine. So he went to a local flower shop, and he made arrangements for his wife to get a Valentine's bouquet of roses from him for the rest of her life. So every single Valentine's Day, for the rest of her life, she gets a delivery from this flower shop from her husband, Jim, to commemorate their love, which represents in that bouquet of roses. I read this whole story, and if you have a chance, go check it out. It is amazing how devoted he was to his wife. And I think the greatest thing you can show someone is devotion and commitment. And I thought to myself, if this man can figure out a way to make his wife feel special, literally from the grave, then maybe there's more that all of us can do while we're still here. In a similar way, there's another story about a famous basketball coach, or at least famous here in America. John Wooden, the coach of the University of California, Los Angeles Bruins. And John Wooden was unbelievably successful. He won like 10 national championships, and he coached all these amazing basketball players. And when his wife died, he continued to write her letters once a week, even though she was no longer here for the rest of his life. And when he passed away, while his children and grandchildren were clearing out all of his stuff, they found all these letters that he had written to his wife years after he passed. Literally once a week, he would write these letters to her. And I just find myself thinking, if you can make someone feel special from the grave, and if you can continue to make someone feel special to the grave, all of us should take advantage of the time that we have now to make our partners feel special. And I think that's an inspirational thing. And I think we have to remember how magnificent that is and the great gift that time is, and utilize that time to do very small things to make the people around us feel amazing. So I want to encourage you guys to do that. Like, think about your partners or the meaningful people in your life, and what small thing can you do consistently and with persistence that's not dependent upon their behavior or you getting along or not getting along, things that you could just do to make them feel very, very special. Hey, thanks for being here today. Please do me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platforms or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts and subscribe. Also, leave feedback, comment, rate this podcast. I really appreciate all those things, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. What's up, everyone? This is Elliott Connie, and for over 15 years, I've helped hundreds of thousands of counselors support their clients in finding solutions for their everyday lives, and worked with tens of thousands of clients on my own. And today I want to welcome you back to the aha moments where every day I share the lessons I've learned in my work and in my life to inspire you to live your very best life. And today I want to talk to you about persistence. That's going to be the topic of this week. And I want to tell you a story about the first time that I really learned the importance of persistence and was able to put that lesson into play in my life and carry it on forward. So what happened was, and I'm going to tell you something that is a flaw of mine, is I am not very good at mathematics. I have never been good at math. It's just not something I enjoy, never been one of my strong suits. It's always been a struggle of mine. And when I was in college, I would get A's in English class and A's in history and A's in my psychology classes as a psych major. But math was a huge struggle of mine. And I only had to take, as a psych major, I only had to take one math. It was called college algebra. That was the only math I needed to get my degree. And I tried to take it twice at my university. I went to Texas Western University and I tried to take college algebra twice. And both times, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where the person teaching something is so good at the thing that they teach that they're actually not good at explaining the concepts and overwhelm their students. And that's how it was. This guy was just like math genius, and he would write these formulas on the board, and I couldn't understand anything, and I ended up dropping the class both times I took it. And before I knew it, I was a senior, and the only class I needed to pass to get my degree was math. So I didn't want to take it from the math department at my university because I was afraid that I would just end up overwhelmed and fail and then thus not get a degree. So I actually signed up for a math class at another university, a local college. And I went to that college. I was like, okay, I'm going to focus. I'm going to study. I'm going to do everything I have to do to pass this class. And I'll never forget the first test of the semester. And I tried. I studied, I practiced, I did everything. I got a 17 out of 100. That was probably the biggest F I've ever gotten ever. It was horrible. And I remember thinking, this is the moment. This is the moment where I'm going to have to buckle down. If I want a college degree, I have to find a way through, over, or around this obstacle. So this school, they had something called the math lab, which was basically like an office of math tutoring. And I went to that office every single day. After class, I went to that office and reviewed the lessons I learned in math class so that I had a mastery over the concepts and I could then take and pass the subsequent tests. Over the rest of the semester, we took 4 or 5 more tests, and I eventually pulled that grade up to a passing grade, was able to transfer that course from that university to my university, and was able to successfully get a degree. I often think back to that, and I think about a couple of things. Number one is I couldn't quit. Quitting was not an option because I needed this degree. I had goals, dreams, and aspirations in my life, and all of them required me to have a college degree. So I had to figure out a way to get over, through, or around this obstacle. Number two, the other thing that I carry with me is how important it is not just to be persistent in pursuit of your goal, but to be persistent in the way you pursue your goal. So I'm not joking. I literally went to the math tutoring lab every single day until I had confidence that I could apply the concepts taught in that class in a way that would allow me to pass a test. And too often, I think we quit and we stop pursuing a meaningful goal, and we don't understand that sometimes the ingredient necessary to achieve a meaningful aim is to be persistent. And that's the lesson I carry with me. That happened when I was about 22, and now I'm 45 years old, and I still think back to the necessity of persistence in achieving my degree, and I still apply it to the things that I try to achieve now. And I want you guys to reflect on when the first time you noticed the importance of persistence. So often people want a technique in order to get good at something, or they want to be told how to do it. But sometimes the missing ingredient to unlock your skills and to be able to achieve something meaningful is to be persistent in pursuit of it. So I want you to think about when was the first time you realized the importance of persistence, even if it's just now listening to this particular podcast. And what are 3 lessons that you have learned or could learn and carry with you going forward? Hey, thanks for being here today. If you wouldn't mind doing me a huge favor and share this podcast on your social media platform or with at least one person that you think could benefit from hearing this message today. And don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast and subscribe, rate this podcast, leave comments. I love hearing what you guys think, and I will see you tomorrow.